Bass! Yes, welcome to the Tony Scott Internet Show. What's up, my peoples? Thank you for listening. I really appreciate your patronage. I am Tony Scott, and it is a Tuesday. Hope Monday was all right. At a loss for words about what happened to Oscar Taveras, who is the St. Louis Cardinals outfielder killed in a car accident on Sunday, along with his girlfriend, who was only 18 years old, in the Dominican Republic. And I saw a picture of the car. Nobody would have survived that. I don't know the circumstances behind the crash. I don't know what happened. But anytime we lose somebody who's 22 years old, for any reason, or 18 years old, as his girlfriend was, it's a situation that is tragic and sad, and it hurts, especially when you have children who are near that age, are that age, or were that age. It's not a natural thing for anybody to have to bury their children. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. But when you're 22 and a highly touted prospect and have nothing but the world before you, and for it to be snatched away for whatever reason is a little bit painful, at least for me. And I never even met Oscar Taveras or his girlfriend, but my heart aches for his family and her family. Everybody says the kid always had a smile on his face and was just happy. Who wouldn't be? You're touted as a top prospect for an organization like the St. Louis Cardinals. I mean, the world is yours, basically, and it's just all gone now. And I feel bad about that. My thoughts and prayers because to the family and friends of both, because this is something that is not supposed to happen. A report by an organization called PEN America says there were more than 50 alleged incidents in which police violated the freedom of the press in Ferguson. No. The report includes arrests of journalists and threats by police to the press. Now, PEN America is a nonprofit that focuses on journalism and literature, and the organization is urging the Department of Justice to open an investigation into the multiple incidents. I'll link you to the report if you go to the news page at talking360.com. I don't know why we should be surprised by that. A felony marijuana case against a man was dismissed because Officer Darren Wilson of the Ferguson Police Department twice failed to appear in court because, as we all know, he's in hiding. That's the same arrest where Officer Wilson actually got a commendation from the Ferguson City Council last February. Remember that? That's where the picture came from. The only picture that we have of Darren Wilson is that where he got a commendation. And apparently he didn't show up in court. You're allowed to face your accusers. He was not there to face his accusers, so the case is dismissed. Is that the first time that's happened to Darren Wilson, where he didn't show up and a case got dismissed? I wonder. I want to say no, but I don't know for sure. But a lot of people have been saying that the decision by the grand jury is going to happen in the next 2 weeks because November is right around the corner, and a lot of people feel like Darren Wilson is not going to be indicted, which really makes no sense to me because if you indict Darren Wilson, you're not saying he's guilty or he's innocent. All you're saying is there's enough evidence to move to the next part of justice, the trial. That means basically that there's enough evidence for him to have to face a jury of his peers. That's all that meant, which really would have probably bought another year for him, minimum. So I don't know why the grand jury is taking one so long, and two, if you're to believe what everybody's saying, and I don't, but I do in my heart of hearts have this sick feeling of what's going to go on. I was talking to a couple of people about that yesterday, and there's a real fear because, last time, and actually I heard my friend DJ Cut mention this on his radio show, when we had the unrest the first time, the police were basically not prepared for that. And they did what they did, which has the Justice Department now involved, had citizens, had the world ticked off at how police were handling the situation. So now that they've had time to prepare, I can only imagine what may happen if we go down that same road again. I am fearful, I'm worried, I'm concerned, and I think we all should be, because the police are going to be better organized, and they're going to stop people from looting and setting fire to things. They're not going to have that this time. They're going to be cracking heads. Let's just be honest. They're going to be better prepared, and they're going in. That concerns me, and that concerns me a lot, because I don't want to see anybody else hurt, killed. I don't want to see that. I don't want to hear about it. It pains me to even think that's a very strong possibility. The first night of unrest, when it happened in August, I went on YouTube live, and we're telling parents that if you have children who are old enough to come and go as they please, I don't know what age in your household that rule applies where you start letting your kids come and go as they please. Maybe they're adults, maybe they're 16, I don't know. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about if you have children who are old enough to come and go as they please, when all this starts popping off, if what everybody says is true, then you need to not let your children outside. If you have to sit on your child, literally sit on them so they cannot get up, that's what you need to do. Because I am frightful. I am scared that this is going to be far worse than it was when we had the unrest the first time. And I think we should all be concerned about that. I pray and hope that Darren Wilson is indicted. And if he was indicted and he were to go to trial and he was found not guilty, would the same thing happen again that happened, with the unrest the first time? The possibility that this may, yes, probably so. And that scares the hell out of me. And I just don't know how else to put it, that parents need to really, really, really pay attention if you have children who come and go as they please, because they're old enough to do so. That's all I'm saying. Nas, first of all, let me say that I've said this before. I am very interested in ancestry, my roots, and I found out a lot about mine. I've spoken about that before. I'm not going to bore you again with that if you're not into it. But tonight on PBS, Dr. Henry Louis Gates does a TV show where he traces three celebrities. It's called Finding Your Roots, and he traces celebrities' lineage and goes back and finds out some amazing things. And one of the things he found, one of his guests on tonight's show, it's on at 7:00, is Nas. And Dr. Gates found a receipt for a bill of sale for Nas's 3 times grandmother, his great-great-great-grandmother. And let you hear a little bit of how that went down when he found out.
Bill of sale, March 27, 1859.
This is the bill of sale for your 3rd great-grandmother.
A receipt for a human being. Received of Benjamin Franklin Little, $830, being in full for the purchase of a Negro slave named Pocahontas. They paid $830 for my great-great-great-grandma? I got more than that in my pocket right now.
Wow. He goes on to see a picture of the man who paid the money for his great-great-great-grandmother. And you can see his reaction. You can see the whole thing tonight. That audio courtesy of PBS. But the show, it's just a very, I just find it interesting because I always wondered about my father's side of the family. Didn't know much about him, especially on his mom's side. And am always interested when things like that, old pictures, just tidbits of information. And not just for me and my family, but anybody. And these celebrities have had some pretty interesting lives. And you can check it out again tonight on PBS at 7:00. Halle Berry says that she got a lesson from her mom to keep her boobs from sagging. She says that her mom taught her when she was very young that if she didn't want her boobs to hit her knees by the time she was 30, she should always wear a bra even to bed. Now, I don't know much about bras, obviously, but I'd always heard that you shouldn't wear a bra to bed. It's not healthy. And to wear a bra for a long period of time is also not healthy. But if you wear a bra all the time, I also heard that, wearing a bra actually has the opposite effect of what you're trying to do as far as keep from sagging when you get older, because it doesn't strengthen the elasticity of your skin is compromised because it never has a chance to actually perform, for lack of a better way to put it. Now, like I said, I don't know anything about bras. It's just what I read. I read a lot, but I don't know. Halle Berry is also going to launch a new collection of bras and panties at Target. So good luck on that. But Halle Berry with boob news from Halle Berry. Who knew? Who knew? Who knew? Russell Wilson I talked about this last week, where Russell Wilson was supposedly accused by some teammates of not being black enough. And he told ESPN, I don't even know what that means. People were trying to find ways to knock us down and distract us, but there's no doubt that we're together, more together than ever before. He's talking about the Seattle Seahawks. I believe I'm an educated young male that's not perfect, but tries to do things right. I try to lead by example and help others. That's all I focus on, and that's all I know, was his response to being accused of not being black enough. Now, I don't know if you heard what Charles Barkley had to say on that, because he's had a lot to say about that. And if you never heard it before, check this out, what Charles Barkley said.
We as black people, we're never going to be successful, not because of you white people, because of other black people. When you're black, you have to deal with so much crap in your life from other black people. It's a dirty, dark secret. I'm glad it's coming out. It comes out every few years. I wrote a big chapter in my book about it, to be honest with you. I said, when young black kids, when they do well in school, the loser kids tell them, oh, you're acting white. The kids who speak intelligently, they tell them you're acting white. So it's a dirty, dark secret in the black community. One of the reasons we're never going to be successful as a whole because of other black people. And for some reason, we are brainwashed to think if you're not a thug or an idiot, you're not black enough.
That audio is courtesy of Afternoons with Anthony Gargano and Rob Ellis. And what do you think about what he's saying? He goes on to say more, and I'll link you to his entire conversation on the Talking 360 sports page at talking360.com. But what do you think? I don't know. I think he makes some pretty valid points. And to me, I don't think that's necessarily limited to black folks, but that's what the conversation was about. That's what the conversation was about. So I don't think it's limited to that. I think Latinos, and I think a lot of young people in general, and it might be unfair to say this, but I don't mean every child of a single parent. Obviously, I don't mean that, but a lot of it, when you're a single parent, a lot of things, sometimes, not all the time, fall through the cracks because sometimes mom or dad are working two jobs, or maybe working and going to school, and they depend. The child has to grow up probably quicker than they probably need to. But I'm going off the point here. The point being that there are a lot of young people who think that that anything negative is a positive. You follow what I'm saying? Anything negative is a positive. I think a lot of people feel that way. Young people, they think that if you get arrested, that means that you're tough and that you got street cred. If you don't take crap from anybody, that makes you stronger, which has nothing to do with being stronger. If a lot of fellas, I get in a lot of debates with people, young men, who say that I'm not going to let no woman hit me. Woman hits me, I'm going to hit her, but I'm going to knock her the hell out. But why? Why? Well, she can't hurt you. And truth be told, more times than not, you could mop the floor with her. So why would you hit someone back who you could probably mop the floor with for the only reason that they hit you? That's silly and stupid, and it's not looking at the big picture. Right? Because if you hit her, you're not going to get the benefit of the doubt. It just doesn't work that way, you know? And I had people tell me, men tell me, well, women want equal rights. It has nothing to do with equal rights. It's nothing to do with that. It's looking to save yourself some grief because, one, you're going to lose that battle every time. Two, if the police get involved, you're going to have an arrest record for assault. All right. Three, if you have to go to trial, now you got to get a lawyer. Right? So now you got to go in your pocket. Four, you may lose your job. All that's worth it because you're going to hit somebody who hit you, who you already know you go whoop their ass. I mean, that just doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't. But young people, they just think different. Not all of them, obviously, but a lot of young people, they see everything differently. I've spoke about this before. They don't want to learn from our mistakes. They want to make their own mistakes. Right? They don't even watch TV like we used to watch TV. They don't even listen to the radio like we used to listen to the radio. They just don't even listen to their favorite songs like we do. Our favorite song comes on and we listen to the whole thing. Their favorite song comes on. They might listen to it for 90 seconds and they're like, yeah, I'll catch up with it later. I got other things to do. The world is moving so fast that this is how they do things in their world. And there's nothing wrong with it, although, you know, us being old heads, we probably think, yeah, there is something wrong with it, but we're not breaking the law. But to Charles Barkley's point, if young people see negative things that happen to people as a positive, it almost goes back to the young people's argument of the N-word, have taken it and making it their own. That's the biggest piece of crap I've ever heard in my life. And people have Dr. Steve Perry says on Twitter, if that's what Charles Barkley actually said, I applaud him. The truth can be ugly, but it is the truth. He also writes on Twitter, being black and street cred need to get divorced, which is very true. Sometimes we can't get out of our own way, and sometimes that applies to like a group of people. We can't get out of our own way as a group of people because, you know, I mean, I've heard people tell people that, you know, you talk white. Where's the patent on white people having the copyright or whatever you want to call it to talking white? What the hell does that mean? That you speak proper English? That means you're talking white. Right? If you go to a predominantly white school and you live in an urban area, then you're trying to be white. Right? If you wear colored contacts, you're trying to be white. Even though there are black folks walking the face of the earth with blue eyes, green eyes, hazel eyes, but you're trying to be white. I don't get that. And that happens in all races of color. That you're trying to be what you're selling out. Speaking of selling out, this has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but I saw this on Twitter yesterday that there's only 3 black police officers in Ferguson, and a lot of people are calling them Uncle Toms. And you can't have it both ways. You can't complain that Ferguson doesn't have enough police officers that are black, and then have some that are black, and then you call them sellouts. You call them Uncle Toms. You can't have it both ways, man. It just doesn't work that way. You got to stop with that. I'm begging you over here. Cut it out. James Fortune, the gospel singer, was arrested. Don't know if you heard about that or not. He was charged with aggravated assault to a family member. Released on $20,000 bond. Details have not been released as far as I know. James Fortune issued a statement apologizing for his behavior, but said he couldn't go into detail due to legal restrictions. Quote, I am truly sorry for the negative attention this situation has brought my wife, family, friends, business partners. Because it is a pending legal matter, I cannot comment on what has been reported. I understand the seriousness of this matter and ask that you respect the privacy of my family as we address this together. He ended saying, I would also like to thank my fans for their outpouring of love and support. Now, this ain't the first time this has happened, right? Some domestic trouble for James Fortune. He was accused of abusing his 17-year-old stepson when his stepson was 4 years old. Allegedly. Now, I'm not even going to read that because, no, I'm not even going to tell you about the allegedly because that puts a spin on it that just ain't fair to James Fortune. I'm not saying he's innocent. I'm not saying he's guilty. I don't even know what he's accused of doing this time around. I'll link you if you want to read it. I'll link you to it on the Streets of Talking page at talking360.com. But, you know, this ain't the right time to be charged with anything like domestic violence or anything like this. Ain't the right climate for that, because we're still, you know, the whole Ray Rice thing and, you know, Adrian Peterson beating his son with the switch. Or actually, I shouldn't say beating. He I don't know. Okay, he beat him with a switch. You know, the whole thing that bothered me about the Adrian Peterson thing was the little boy had defensive wounds on his hands. In other words, he held his hands up trying to stop his father from whipping him with that switch. Now, you old school heads who believe in that kind of punishment will say, you know, that's how you can't tell somebody how to discipline their child. Well, I guess you're wrong, right? Because they're saying they can. I'm saying they can. I mean, this isn't the 1950s or 60s or 70s or maybe even the 80s, man. This is 2014, and the world isn't like that. And people who say, I wish it would go back to the way it was, no, you don't. No, you don't. You absolutely do not. I'm just telling you the truth. Be careful what you ask for, because going back to the old times is not where you want to be. And what about the couple who went to a Halloween party in blackface dressed as Ray Rice? What is it about white people in blackface that they think is not offensive? Or anybody who's not African American. If a Latino wore blackface, what is it about that anybody wearing blackface makeup that makes you think that is not offending anybody? And if you hide behind, well, I got black friends, so what the hell does that got to do with anything? That's got nothing to do with nothing, man. I mean, to me, you know, and in social media, these days with social media, every Halloween party, pictures are taken and they're put on social media. So if you think the world's not going to find out that you wore blackface, my friend, you are sadly mistaken, because the world knows. And now you're being called a bigot or a racist, you know, and you're saying that's unfair. Well, the evidence is there, man, that you, at the very least, did a racist, bigoted thing. In my opinion, I just don't get that at all. What is the fascination with people to want to mimic black folks? What is the fascination with that? And then think that you can get away with it. I don't get that at all, why people feel that way, but it's a real thing. You know what else is a real thing are sex tapes, right? Supposedly there's a rumor that J-Lo has one. That's been out for a while with her first husband, Ohani Noah. There's a rumor that reality star Drea Michelle, who's a beautiful young lady, has one. And there's one that Iggy Azalea has one. You know? Be honest. And obviously you can't tell me, but is there a sex tape of you somewhere? Blink twice if there is. Blink once if there. I have no way of knowing. But is there? Do you have a sex tape out there? I can tell you with 100% honesty and certainty that there is not a sex tape of me anywhere. I mean, you ever seen a picture of me? Who would want to record that? But you know what? And I pray that my girls never make that mistake, because you're never able to live that down. For all the success that Kim Kardashian has had, and let's be honest, that was a calculated move. You know, did it take her to the next level? Yeah, it did. Did it take anybody else to the next level compared to her? Not really. Pamela Anderson, you know, she was already at a certain level when that happened, when her sex tape came out with her husband, and nobody, you know, it was not a big deal, really, compared to like the Kim Kardashian tape. And then the one that Paris Hilton did, ain't nobody cared about that. She was already kind of popular. Kim was bubbling under the surface. That tape came out, it put her on a whole nother level. Was it orchestrated to come out? Absolutely. Now, some people say that her mom, Chris, I've heard rumors that her mom was involved in the releasing of the tape, and that her mom was actually in the room when the tape was made because the whole thing was planned. Now, I don't know if any of that is true. If I had to choose one, I would say that she may have had something to do with it being released, but I wouldn't say that her mom was in the room. But I have no way of knowing, so I'm just, talking out my behind right now because I have no, how would I know? But then she's been accused of being a pimp for her children. So, you can say what you want, but they ain't got to worry about paying a light bill, that's for sure. I don't know. Would I have done back in my day, would I have done a sex tape if I knew that it was going to get me riches? No, probably not. You're thinking, oh, come on, man, you'd have done. Nah, not really. Not really. Not really. I mean, because there's just some things. My daughter asked me the other day, would you take a bullet to the leg for $1 million? And I told her no. She said, why? I said, because there's just some things that are just not worth the hassle. I says, and you kind of really start to believe that the older you get. It comes with wisdom. Wisdom comes with age. You can run across a young person now who you probably think is really wise for their age, but man, if they're wise for their age now, wait till they're twice their age they are now. If they're 25, wait till they're 50 and find out how wise they are then. It's going to blow your mind. This I know for certain, that wisdom comes with age. Not for everybody. Some people stay stupid their entire life, and that's just the way it is. All right, I'm going to leave it right here for today. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you sharing. I appreciate you reposting. It helps beyond words. Would you help a brother out and do that? If you'd like to become a patron of mine, I have this account called Patreon, which for $2.99 a month, would $2.99 a month break you? To help me out to continue to produce all kinds of different content, help pay my internet access, just be able to push this content out to you. If you don't like any of my content, I mean, that's cool too. If you don't like parts of it, well, for $2.99 a month, $2.99 a month, what can you get for $3 a month? Not a lot. Go to Patreon to be my patron. patreon.com/Tony Scott Media, all one word. Can I get $3 from you? Hey, if you want to tip me $1, you can do that too on YouTube. While you're listening to this, just look in the upper left-hand corner. You'll see like an eye. Click that, and something will pop up. You can click if you want to just donate $1. There, you can actually donate $1, $5, up to $500. I don't expect you to donate $500, although that would be kind of nice. But no, I'm not asking for that. But if you can help out in any way, it is so appreciated. Man, I cannot believe what feedback I get, though, via email and Facebook messages that I get about how much you enjoy this podcast. And it really, really means a lot to me to get your feedback. And if I could thank every last one of you, I absolutely would. But consider yourself, until I figure out a way to do that, consider yourself thanked. All right? I'll talk to you tomorrow.